click on the subscribe button, and press the bell icon, to never miss any updates.
Hi everybody, my name is Nina. I went to Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh in September as a volunteer nurse with Med Global for 2 weeks. It was the first time that I'd ever gone to Bangladesh. And I've done some relief work in the past in Haiti and Iraq. So once I started reading about the Rohingya crisis and how it was slowly becoming the largest refugee crisis in the world, I wanted to just get over there and see what I could do to help. Often a lot of the volunteer nurses, doctors, and paramedics, we're able to take time away from our work at home and go overseas to do whatever we can. I've met a lot of international volunteers from the UK, from Canada, from Spain. I've worked with a lot of the local Bengali translators and also Rohingya staff who we're able to employ. And currently now it's been over a year where the Rohingya have been stationed to this capacity, although the camps have actually been set up for a long time in Bangladesh. I think even back into the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And there's all this talk about what's going on with the politics, with the repatriation, if they should go back to Burma or not. The point is that right now, the Rohingya are living there in camps. They're isolated to one dense area of Cox's Bazar, where a family of, let's say, 6 might have one small hut. They are completely reliant on foreign aid. As much as we'd like to give them the independence, they're in a place where they don't have the freedom to learn and get educated. The children sometimes aren't in a little, here and there we're trying to set up programs so that they can be educated. There are restrictions on some of that, but essentially they're relying on foreign aid for food, for shelter, for just basic needs like hygiene and all of that. A lot of groups are there trying to do their best to provide this kind of care. The very difficult part about this right now is that since it's been over a year, it's not seen to everyone as a crisis anymore. Slowly, groups are actually pulling out and going on to different parts of the world where, the help is needed, but unfortunately that means decreased funding for the Rohingya, decreased organizations that are making themselves available, especially in the medical sector. I've gotten to learn a little bit about what kind of care, is being provided in the Rohingya camps by the various local NGOs and international NGOs. The need is much greater than what's being met right now. Some of the work is being done by local doctors who, have the opportunity to get hired, and a lot of the care is being given by international volunteers, which is done on a, case-by-case basis. If people are able to give the time, if they're able to go over there for either 1 week, 2 weeks, very rarely can they go for more. What I'm hoping to, continue in my own, not necessarily affiliated with anyone, is coming back home to talk about the story, to spread awareness, and to continue to do what I can to help. I work here full time, but anytime I'm able to take off, ideally I'd like to go back again in January. I spent 14 days there in November also volunteering. And there's a little bit of a struggle when we're going back and forth because it seems like you're just going there and almost putting a Band-Aid on the situation instead of providing sustainable long-term care, which is ultimately the goal. When we're over there, the volunteer groups, we want to pass on any skills we can to the local staff so that they can continue that. Whether it's a medical translator or a doctor or any other staff member who's working there, our goal is to, help them build the skills to be able to, continue, whether they're staying in Bangladesh or going back to Burma or wherever else hopefully they can go to. Anything? Let's see. Some of the really hard parts about being a volunteer, especially coming from the United States or a place where we have resources, is going to these camps and working with not enough equipment, not the correct diagnostic tools, and sometimes sending patients away knowing that they may very well continue to become more ill or even die. Whereas if they were taken care of here, we have certainly the expertise, the medical expertise, and the capacity to treat them. A few examples I want to give. There was a 28-year-old female in the clinic who was having a severe asthma attack. In the States here, we can give medical treatment, we can put a breathing tube down to help them temporarily until they get better. We can provide oxygen, we can give them a place to heal. In the clinic, there's a certain amount of treatment you can give, like medicine, oxygen, and then what we had to do with this patient was send her off to another facility without that, because there was no ambulance to take her. So a 28-year-old who's having an asthma attack, she can get the maximum amount of medications from us, the maximum amount of oxygen, then she's sent off and hopefully able to make it to the next center before she can be cared for. Another case, we had a patient who was 6 months pregnant. We knew she was having a miscarriage, her blood pressure was low, and she was in a lot of pain. She was essentially going to lose her child. We didn't have the services in the clinic to do much about it except for give her antibiotics, give her fluids. Then there was another type of person who had to be transferred out with minimal supportive care while she had to get to the following place. And for all of the people working, local or international staff, it's very hard to know that we could have done more for these patients, but the circumstances didn't allow us to. Those are just a few of the challenges that are currently taking place. And I think the prediction is that as more time goes and there's less media attention on the Rohingya camps, as various things pop up, various disasters and wars pop up in the world, that population might get forgotten, or more NGOs will pull out, more resources will pull out, and they will not get medical care. Medical care is, it's a basic human right. Right now, the world is not giving them enough to just even be at a basic, healthy state. So I'm hopeful that different, programs and NGOs will stay. There are a lot that are still on the ground now who have pledged their, diligence in helping the Rohingya for as long as possible, as long as they're able to. The funding in the nonprofit world isn't always so abundant, and in that sense, there's, you can get them medications, but you might not get them enough, like high-tech equipment, or you can pay for certain personnel, but then you can't, get enough doctors. So it's a challenge when there isn't enough attention and funding for these types of things. But thank you for your attention, and hopefully, even on your own, you can always read a little bit more about, what's going on if you follow it in the news, and hopefully, you continue to support organizations that are looking to help them. Thank you.
ITV, Call of Peace, Save Humanity.